summertime adventure is back.
I love this race.
And ready to go!
I'm so proud of you.
You know, Amazing Race Canada, we're back for season 11. How does this season compare to past seasons that we've seen?
It's the best one yet. Yeah, I'd be remiss if I told you any other sort of a lie. It's the best yet, Mark. Honestly, you're not going to want to miss it, buddy.
And what about first this season? Because I was going through some of the I don't know every place that we're going to visit, but we do go to the Arctic Ocean.
Right? Isn't that a big deal? We cross. It's invisible to the naked eye, but when you look at a map, there's definitely an Arctic Circle out there. And when you cross over that threshold, dude, it gets real up at that level of longitude. And I can't say enough good things about the North, about the people. There's something special there, and it's not an area that I'm familiar with, so the novelty of it for me is the type of thing that's worth seeking out in life.
So what can you tell us about this season's teams? I mean, they're such a diverse group. I mean, we do have some notable faces that people will recognize. I'll ask you more about them in a moment.
Sure.
But what about the teams that we're going to get to meet?
Awesome teams, great relationships. We've got our first grandmother on the show. You're not going to be able to pick her out of the lineup on the first leg until you get to hear some of the backstories, because she doesn't look like nobody's grandma. But she is. And it's from a relationship of a mother and son, which, as a mama's boy, of course, that's the type of relationship dynamic that I'm drawn to in terms of cheering for people. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the show, and why so many Canadians find it compelling, is because they can find somebody who is either like them, from their area of the world, has a relationship like the one that they're illustrating on the show, has a vocation or life choices that represent what this individual on the show represents. And so everybody can find somebody to sidle up to cheer for, to root for, and to get behind in terms of being a fan. And then those that illustrate aspects of our personality that we wish were more like theirs. And I think that that's really good to see as well.
Just like in past seasons, there are a few notable faces. Brendan and Sam were on previous seasons of The Amazing Race Canada. There's Ike and Demetrius from Big Brother Canada. Grace Dove, she's an actress people might recognize from The Revenant. Jon, is there more pressure on these? When we see these faces, people might know them a little bit more than others. Is there pressure on those teams?
You know what? I would suspect there would be. Not from anything that was verbalized to me, but I guess knowing what it would be like to have a level of familiarity with something. And whether that's television production or specifically The Amazing Race Canada, like Brendan and Sam have an inside scoop, but with different partners, under different circumstances. And the relationship dynamic between yourself and the racer that you're partnered with, I think it completely changes the script on how you're going to navigate the challenges, how you're going to get through these things. And so for Brennan, he was with his bro. Totally different relationship dynamic than your new girlfriend. And Sammy, with her dad, is definitely a different relationship than with your new boyfriend. And so watching them perform this race, I would think there would be that added level of knowing and expectation that would have been devoid of that first experience. And you can see what the pressure to perform on a sequel is like. How did Jet and Dave do? Ha! What a disappointment for everybody, including Jet and Dave, I imagine. So Brendan and Sam will have to avoid that folly of going home first on your second season back. So we'll see how they measure up.
Man. You just mentioned Jet and Dave. I remember speaking to them before it started off. And then I went out on a leg of the race. And I saw you guys out in Nanaimo, and they were already gone. And I was like, I thought I just spoke to them 2 weeks ago. How are they gone?
You were there for the infamous goats on the roof finish line, where there was some skullduggery and questionable behavior, perhaps, at the caves, I think, with Dave and Arena maybe looking at some other people's boards and whatnot. And I love Dave and Arena. They were the ultimate at mental warfare. They broke people spiritually and mentally.
Well, you know what? The thing about David Arena is it was not. I mean, you were quite upset about that move that they pulled to take the penalty right away. But in hindsight, it did work out for them. On that day, it worked out. They took the penalty and they made it through to the next leg.
You're not going to get a glowing review of taking a penalty from me ever. I'll bring on the dad voice and be like, I'm disappointed in you. But you can't deny that strategically there is the gamble of taking the penalty. And that I respect. I think that it's quite brave to do it sometimes. And I will applaud that in retrospect. But I will never give somebody credit for quitting just so that they could avoid something. That, in my mind, is a no-no of the race. So many people would love to just grind themselves to dust attempting to finish a challenge. But if you can be strategic with it, like we saw the gentlemen, the ball players, Michael and Tyson and Michael last year, taking that strategic penalty on the penultimate leg, like, whoa, waiting there for those 2 hours to find out, that would have been angst-inducing, and they earned it. Like, literally, you can manufacture TV drama, I guess, sometimes, but the Amazing Race Canada had to do no editing and had to give no treatment to that dramatic finish, where within seconds, we're talking like 120 maybe seconds, they narrowly avoided devastation and being eliminated from the race. But their gamble paid off, and their strategic penalty got them to the finale.
I forgot about that one. That was good too. John, how Amazing Race Canada has stuck close to home the last few seasons. How has staying in Canada made the show better?
I think it's made it better because the only people that are truly honest with you in life are the elderly. They give zero F's about what you think. They don't care. They don't have to endear themselves to you. They're just going to give you the straight dope like they see it. And so nobody ever has said anything negative to me about the Amazing Race Canada. But sometimes little old ladies will tell you that they just really wish you'd stay home more often because they really like seeing the Canadian cities. The only constructive criticism that's ever been shared with me are of ladies with a few more miles on the odometer than me, and let's call them more experienced women, and they're brutally honest, saying, I wish you'd just stay home more because I want to see more of my country. I know Gertrude in Mill Bay. I want to go out to see Ethel on PEI, and I've only heard wonderful things about the North. And they don't know anybody from any other place on earth. They don't really care about other countries, but they care desperately about their brothers and sisters from Canada. And they want to see where they live and go to places on television that they might have experienced in real life and been able to go back to or be inspired to go and see for the first time.
How has the show made you appreciate Canada more?
Every time you venture out of your familiar surroundings, to be treated to new landscapes, and more importantly, to, I guess, sometimes break bread with or simply be around the people that call those places homes, is foundational to developing a sense of connectedness with your brothers and sisters. And when you feel connected to somebody from another place in your own backyard, I think you're that much more inclined to feed into those positive feedback loops by making informed choices at the grocery store, by spending your hard-earned travel dollars visiting these communities and engaging with these people that make them even more beautiful than the landscapes that backdrop them. And if the Amazing Race Canada can shine a spotlight on some of these places to go, and the people who call them home, to inspire others to go out, to connect, to break bread, and to have the same kind of reverence for this country that I do, then the Amazing Race Canada is going to entertain, inspire, and promote tourism within the confines of the 10 million square kilometers that is our collective backyard.
So we kick things off in Alberta. John, looking back at all the past races, how accurate are you at predicting the winners?
Not very. Um, you know, I would say that I'm always surprised by the people that we find on the final leg. Not necessarily the totality of the teams, but there's always one or two teams in the final grouping that, in my mind, have punched perhaps above what I perceived they were capable of achieving. And I'm never really surprised anymore, but in the same breath, somebody always jumps out and you're like, well, I didn't see that one coming. Because it's not just being strong, it's not just being clever, but you have to create your luck on the Amazing Race Canada. And you got to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky. And it definitely feeds into the recipe of success that is ultimately crowning a new champion each and every year. And it's compelling to watch it play out in real time.
Whether it's the Amazing Race Canada or the mothership, I'm always fascinated by this argument I have in my head about luck versus skill and which wins out at the end of the day. I know I've asked you this before as well, but do you wrestle with that too? Luck versus skill, and which one do you see playing a bigger role in the outcome?
I've already quoted him today, and I'll say it again. Stephen Leacock has a good line, and it goes something like, I'm a firm believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it. And so I believe that we manufacture opportunities to seize the day, moments to be treasured, moments to be seized through diligence, through hard work, through digging deep, through grit, determination, heart, integrity, intestinal fortitude. All of these things manufacture opportunities to rise to the occasion and sometimes be successful. More often than not, we're given an opportunity to rise to the occasion and we don't necessarily achieve that benchmark that we were striving for, but we definitely get the lesson. And when you've got that experience, when you've got that capacity to draw upon previous life experiences for future iterations of trying to level up to being your best on the day that matters most, we'll have more of those iconic moments, those moments to celebrate and to savor for having had an experience go the way that we were hoping, as opposed to maybe not what we were hoping for, but we definitely got the lesson. And I think any opportunity to try and level up is a great day. And if you're presented with it at any opportunity, say yes.
Before I let you go, we're going to be wrapped up in this show all summer long before it ends in September. Jon, looking back on it, is there a common trait? Is there a common trait that all the past winners have all shared?
I think their capacity to fight nice has been a common trait amongst the winning teams. They've all been bright. They've all been flexible thinkers. They've all had some level of strength and endurance and capacity to endure. But the one unifying thread that might make them all commonly great is their ability to move forward from some perceived slight. If their racing teammate was not as polite as they should have been while asking for something in the heat of the moment, or said something that didn't feel super supportive, their capacity to not own that and to wear it as somehow being an integral part of who they are, or some deficiency about themselves, but alternatively, the reality, which is just a moment in time, and to move forward with purpose. That's a common trait that all the winning teams have shared, is their ability to fight nice and move forward with purpose.
Welcome to Commonwealth Stadium, home of the Edmonton Elks, and welcome to Season 11 of The Amazing Race Canada.